We are back, folks.
I thought it's folks, we're back.
Okay, we're back. We're back.
The same.
Mayor Keller, Mayor Keller, I'm sorry. I apologize. So we have a surprise guest. I'm so happy we got her on the show. Out of Baltimore, Miss Mileah Kromer. How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. It's Mileah.
Mileah, I'm sorry.
That's
Mileah.
okay. You've done that because it's okay.
Oh my God, you just corrected me right away.
Well, no, now we fixed it.
Then we fixed
We're good to go.
There we go. So how are you doing?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks
Great,
for coming.
great. And so how is the conference going for you?
It's a lot of fun, especially I really don't have anything formal to do until tomorrow, where Pam Wood from the Baltimore Banner and I are going to moderate some candidate interviews that happened on the very last session of MACO. So I've had a nice time walking around, getting a lot of school supplies, a lot of free pens.
Gotcha.
A lot of conversation, and getting to talk to a lot of just like folks in government. I think it's a really wonderful contact with people.
You're well known in the Baltimore, D.C. area for the poll and Goucher polling and whatnot. And everybody waits for that poll.
Yeah.
That comes out, and polling is so important. How are you guys, how stressful is it for you when it comes to the polling season? Do you have a lot of college students helping you with this? How does that work out?
So that's a great question. So the larger picture of the Goucher College poll, so we are embedded in an academic institution. And so a big thing that Goucher College does, we're a small liberal arts college, it's really important for us, learn by doing. So the reason we have the poll, I started the poll now 10 years ago. We turned 10 this year.
Congratulations.
Yeah, a whole decade old.
Wow.
We're using it as a teaching tool. So the students, they help write the instrument, they do some research on it, and on the back end, they help me do the data analysis, make the tables, and get the press release ready for distribution. It's really just absolutely, it's a great learning tool. There's no better way to learn about public opinion than actually designing an instrument yourself and running the analysis. So that is the story of the Goucher College poll, internally. We've been really fortunate this go around. We've been able to work with the Baltimore Banner and WYPR, doing a poll for the primary election. We would not have been able to do it without the partnership with them, and so that was wonderful. And we were hoping to look forward to doing some more polls as this next year kind of unfolds.
Nice.
I mean, there were so many candidates running this time. I can only imagine, especially, even the Democratic governor candidates. There were just so many, and that's a lot of work.
It is, and obviously, so what we typically do is so there's always a question of what candidates get named on the horse race, and so typically we're going to name any candidate who is sort of on the ballot and actively campaigning. So there's occasionally somebody who gets on the ballot, who gets the name on a ballot and then just you never hear from them again, and they're not actually going out there and trying to win. Sometimes that person won't make it on. They become the other category on the poll. But most likely, in our poll, we had every single candidate that was on the ballot we asked about. And what we found, and is exactly what happened in the last election, in the primary election, is you had Westmore, Tom Perez, and Peter Franchot all at the top. But it was clear that Moore and Perez had that momentum, and Moore edged Perez out on the last week.
I like it. What was it? Momentum? Was it? What was the slogan? Momentum.
I think that was the hashtag momentum you saw on Twitter.
Maryland.
Yes. You came right out for Westmore right away.
I did right away. I've never endorsed before. I don't think I'm that important.
Being a mayor,
I don't think it's that important. But I met with all the candidates. There's just something about Wes, and I said that to him earlier. It's you just get that energy of I want to be around this person. I want to listen to him speak. That's the type of leader that I want.
I said this before about that Democratic contest. I think that there was a dearth of experience between all of them.
Yes.
And so Democratic voters this time around were really lucky, I think, between at least the three, the top tier candidates, and as well as some of the other folks down ballot. They have there's a bench with the Democratic Party in Maryland, and it's not just at that gubernatorial level. There's going to be some stars in the next couple years. Should Moore be successful, there's going to he's a really wonderful LG candidate, and Aruna Miller. Yes. She's going to be a rising star. There's a lot of county executives, Democratic county executives that have certainly the potential to become a senator or become the next governor. So the Democratic Party in Maryland has really, despite not being in the governor's mansion for the last 8 years, has built something up for some longevity.
Absolutely.
I mean, what do you see coming up for this election? I mean, it's a stark contrast
There is a
both.
stark contrast.
It is like to the point where I'm like, it's night and day, and like who's, you know, and I'm like, this election matters. Like you need to come out, you need to be out and vote because there is a just difference night and day of what's going on. Like what do you see pollers? Where do you put pollers? What do you guys start polling for this and get the feeling?
So a lot of folks have asked me to sort of like talk about the dynamics of the election, and I'll say this. So it's one thing to align yourself with the former president during a Republican primary. President Donald Trump was still very popular among Republican primary voters. Our poll certainly showed that at around 80% approval rating. Hogan was also pretty popular among Republican primary voters. Around 65% of those voters approved of the job Hogan was doing. I will tell you where I made a mistake in thinking about that race was I focused too much on the overlap between like folks who liked Hogan and the folks who liked Trump, and didn't focus enough on the folks who were upset with Hogan but loved Trump.
Right.
And those are the folks I think who certainly turned out to vote.
Yes.
That being said, attaching yourself closely to Trump may win you a primary.
Right.
But once you come to the general election, Democrats make up anywhere between 52 to 55% or 56% of the final electorate.
Right.
President Donald Trump has never risen out of a single-digit approval rating or the low tens among Democratic voters.
Right.
It will be a problem. It will not be a help. It'll be a hindrance.
Right.
I agree. As someone from Washington County, you know, Hagerstown is very Democratic, but we're surrounded by a very, very red county, and you know we see that the Larry Hogan is a rhino stuff, and you know now it's all Trump and Dan Cox, and it's definitely a very strange twist in the party.
But also, I'm sure that you've also saw this among your Democratic voters, especially particularly those moderate Democrats who are living in places like Hagerstown. You saw those folks like Larry Hogan. They like that brand
Absolutely.
of Republican politics, and that's why Kelly Schultz would have been, I think, a contender. Now, Wes Moore, I think, and this is not to take anything away from him, he's a strong candidate, a strong contender,
Right.
a wonderful fundraiser. So he has all the building blocks to go the distance for this campaign.
I was shocked that night. I was very shocked that people were so upset, and I was shocked. But somebody asked me the other day, what do you worry about the most? And I wonder what Maryland will do at the polls this year. Because Maryland's never had a black governor.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of stuff that I don't take for granted. And we just had Wes on, and Wes is like, we're going all out. I'm like, you have to, because I think that happened with Anthony Brown. That's what I think. I think that was like, because everybody was like, oh, he's going to win. But then it never happened. So I worry about those type of things.
I don't think anybody's should ever sit here and deny the role that sexism and racism plays in American elections. Like, you can't ignore that. I mean, it's a presence in the campaign. But I will say this, Wes Moore's a fundamentally different candidate, I think, that even Ben Jealous was in 2018.
Right.
And I always give Ben Jealous credit for being unapologetically progressive. That's who he is, and that's who he ran as, and didn't try to tack towards the middle. That being said, that's not where most Maryland voters are at. But if you look at Wes's campaign platform, and this is, I think, reflective of who he is it is a mix of both progressive and some moderate policy positions that really, I think, will appeal to a broader array of Democratic voters. You're not going to see those Hogan Democrats defect at the same level that you saw back in 2018, where it was around a third of Democrats defected.
Right. You
won't see that in this. I would say I don't suspect you will see that this election cycle.
Gotcha. So we're going to ask some real quick spontaneous questions.
Okay.
Here.
Oh golly. Okay.
All right. Here we go. Snowball or ice cream?
Oh, I love sugar snacks of all varieties.
Okay.
So I actually like them both, and I'm not doing that because I'm being paid by the Snowball or ice cream lobby.
Okay.
I have in MACO there is like a sweet snack in almost every booth, and I've probably eaten about like 15 of those Lindor, like expensive Lindor chocolates. So
they're so good.
So both, I suppose, is mine.
Your question. You always stump everybody with this question.
No. I got the Backstreet Boys are in sync.
Oh my God. Oh gosh, and because this is because I'm an elder millennial, right?
Right.
I wish you'd have asked me Brittany or Christina, because I'm from Western Pennsylvania and I would have went with Christina.
Ask you that one.
That's a good one.
Gosh, that's a really tough one. I have to go with Backstreet Boys.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. You win the day.
Because the song "I Want It That Way" is probably one of my favorite Backstreet Boys songs from that era of my life.
Yes, me too.
Favorite halftime performance?
Oh, it must have been the last one because
Yep, everybody's saying that.
everybody's saying that. You know what? Especially for people of a certain age,
Yes.
it made you feel very like, oh, this was when music was good,
Right,
and we were
right.
out enjoying and going out and having fun, and not going to bed at 9 o'clock with the backache. That's why I like that.
I'm probably Eminem's biggest fan. Love Eminem, but when 50 dropped down,
I know.
I mean, I almost cried. I was like screaming. My daughter was looking at me like I was absolutely insane.
I
but
know.
I love it.
I made an entire spectacle of myself.
Now I teach, so obviously, Gen Z.
Right.
And they're not as impressed with like with the millennial lifestyle as I think as we are
Right.
together. Sometimes they can be a little critical, I would say.
I get it. I
Just
get
a
it.
little.
All right, last one.
Okay.
Last question. Crabs or crab cakes?
Ooh, crabs probably. I think
Okay.
it's a lot of fun to pick at. Yeah. I do like crab cakes. I'm not a picky eater, so but I enjoy the whole process of it.
And that's why I always say crab, because your cell phone's down and we're having a conversation.
Yeah.
There's nobody ignoring anything.
Yeah. I wore really inappropriate clothes today. Like I'm gonna have to go back to the
Me
hotel
too.
and change.
I'm switching clothes.
Yeah.
White is probably
not gonna be good for
No.
me.
No.
But thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thanks for having me.
And we're gonna
It's
do a
so much
longer.
fun.
We'll do a longer version of it closer to election.
Great. Have me on again. I'd love to.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yay.